Have you ever wondered why two different people who got their hairs cut to the same level at the exact same time ended up experiencing varying growth rates? No? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Ezinne here. Today I'm going to be talking about a very touchy subject, and it's a subject of hair growth. Now, this subject is sensitive, right? Because people go through different issues when it comes to hair, from hair loss to receding hairlines to so many other things that could have arisen from circumstances beyond their control. And this is why I rather like to focus on hair health instead of chasing length and the rest of it. Anyways, here are 7 reasons why your hair may not be growing the way you expect or the way you wish it would. And what I did was categorize these 7 reasons under two broad categories, so it's easier for you to follow through. So there's the innate and there's the acquired. So for the innate category, we're going to be focusing on things that are natural, uncontrollable, or that. Whereas the acquired category generally includes things that are learned, developed, and controllable. So everything in the second category is something that you have the ability to put under control if you desire to do so. In the innate category, we have just 2 items. One is genetics, the other one is AID. So I'll explain that when I get to it. So genetics here generally just refers to your hair growth phases. The anagen phase is the growing period of a hair follicle. So in this phase, your hair follicle has a high tendency to grow, whereas the catagen phase is characterized by slower growth. And then the telogen phase, which is the last phase in your growth cycle, is just the phase where your hair follicle is resting and shedding can take place in this phase. So these 3 phases would vary from person to person, and this is why sometimes you cannot exactly say, oh, because so and so's hair is 6 months old and mine is 6 months old, then apparently our hairs are supposed to be at the same length. Like, that's a no-no. Now, the second innate characteristics is generally termed AID, autoimmune disease. So autoimmune disease would include diseases like alopecia areata, psoriasis, and a host of others. So these things are things that you cannot exactly control by yourself, right? And last time I checked, there's really no explanation as to why anyone would suffer an autoimmune disease. So yeah, let's move to the next category. At number 3, I have drug use and medications. See, this one, I can attest to it because I remember when I was, I think, around maybe 10 or 11. I don't remember what was wrong with me, but I had to take 64 cimetidine injections. And shortly after I completed my injections, my hairline started to recede. At that time, I didn't know it was the effect of the drugs. So all in all, right, drugs like cimetidine, retinoids, amphetamines are listed as drugs that could impede one's hair growth rate. At number 4, I have stress levels. Recall the hair growth phases we talked about when we discussed innate characteristics, the anagen, catagen, and telogen. Now, the process of shedding hair excessively as a result of increased stress levels is termed telogen effluvium. Now, this is because a significant increase in your stress level pushes large number of hair follicles into the resting phase. So this is what will now result into excessive shedding, maybe when you comb your hair and stuff like that. So regardless of how hectic your work schedule is or anything at all, always find time to distress you. So whether that be yoga or just something you do for fun at your leisure, just make sure you're able to strike a balance so that you don't overwork yourself. Number 5 is diet. This may sound cliche, but no matter how many times you've heard it, it's the truth. You are what you eat, and it would show in so many different areas of your life, including the health of your hair. It's always best to avoid processed foods that have lots of refined sugars and likes, and stick to fresh foods and a more natural diet. I mean, it's a struggle because I don't eat fresh foods all the time, I'm not even going to lie. But yeah, eating processed foods is not the best thing to do, right? Now, at number 6, I have listed here unhealthy or unsanitary hair care routines. Now, in the unhealthy hair care routine part, you can have things like excessive heat. Instead of blow drying your hair or flat ironing your hair every other day, you can opt for heatless methods to blow dry or stretch your hair. I have a couple of videos on those. I'm going to link them in the video description. So if you do not know how to stretch your hair without having to use heat all the time, you can check it out and learn an alternative way to stretch your hair. Now, there's also frequent styling that would most times result in over manipulation of your hair strands. So if you find that you keep styling your hair every day or every other day, you might want to cut back on that, especially if you wear hairstyles that feel like someone is pulling you back from, your edges and your napes and everywhere. I mean, personally, I've been a victim of this because when I first went natural, I used to wear my hair in puffs every day. It was until my hairline started receding and I couldn't exactly revive it immediately. So what I did was go in for another big chop and then just started to groom my hair from the start, and I became a lot more careful. Now, there are also unsanitary hair practices, right? Things like not washing your hair as frequently as you should, wearing protective styles for way too long, and using unclean hair tools like dirty combs, dirty accessories that are clogged with dirt, dust, and so many other things, right? So it's important to ensure that you keep your hair care tools clean at all times so that it does not impact the progress of your hair growth journey. Now, the last item on my list, not so many people talk about it, but it's really important, and that's energy. I personally believe that what you proclaim with your mouth is eventually going to become of you. So if you keep saying negative things about your hair and then you choose the worst words and phrases to describe your hair, trust me, in little or no time, your hair is going to start to obey all of those things you see. This one is not rocket science. You know the way some people be like, oh, my hair does not grow, like my hair is just very stubborn, my hair is stupid, my hair is this and that. And I'm like, okay. So even if your hair is not in its best state, even if it's not doing the best that you expect of it, regardless of how much time and effort and energy that you put into it, you need to be very intentional and cautious about the way you address your hair. If you don't deal with it, you would realize that you could be doing all of those other 6 things very well, but this very one would be the reason why you're not experiencing any progress with your hair. Just make sure you're not the one standing in your own way and blaming other factors as reasons to why your hair is not growing. So I hope this gives you a better perspective to look at things from when considering your hair and trying to figure out ways to help your hair do better. So if there are other topics you guys would like for me to talk about, please leave your suggestions in the comments so that I know how to plan around all of it. Bye guys, I'll see you in my next video.